I'm not. Yep, there we go. Hey guys, it's Tim, and this is Pro Wrestling Unlimited. As we are here on May the 4th, May the 4th be with you, 2020, to talk about everything that went down tonight on Monday Night Raw. I thought tonight's Raw was a decent show. Wouldn't call it great or anything, but I would call it, I would call it a decent show. Passable. Could have been a little better as far as a go-home show for a pay-per-view does go, but hey, it's all good. I believe that Money in the Bank should be actually pretty interesting this weekend, and, well, like I stated, we'll see how that all goes. But first, we got to see who's here with us in the live chat. We do have Soka Skywalker, George John Cox, Derek Bocek, Kristen McNutt, Wayne Montgomery. We've also got Sinclair Saturday, Stephen Love, Christian Alonzo, NMD Wrestling Show, Jason Dalton, and so many more of you. Thank you guys for joining me here to talk about tonight's Monday Night Raw. Let's just kick it off with how the show kicked off. It kicked off with MVP's VIP Lounge. The MVP said that the lounge would have some class this week, unlike last week's edition, which ended in a brawl. He then admitted that he didn't know how things would end up, and he showed a replay of Nia Jax, Asuka, and Shayna Baszler from last week. Asuka, Baszler, and Jax all entered in separately. MVP asked Asuka a question in Japanese and let us know that she was excited. Asuka danced during her own entrance and also danced while sitting, and Nia's music played. Asuka and Baszler sat on separate sofas. Jax sat on the coffee table that was positioned in between the two sofas. Cool. Should have just got 3 chairs. I get it. It's supposed to be like a VIP section of a club where they got the leather couches and stuff. Whatever. The MVP asked Jax if she had the skill set to win Money in the Bank. Jax asked him if he ever watched Raw. She said she was dominant and relentless and would win the match. Asuka responded in Japanese. She was still pissed off about Jax injuring Kairi Sane. She also said Jax is no MVP. Shayna Baszler respond and say acta non verba, which translates into actions, not words. She put down the mic for a moment, then explained what the phrase meant. She said she let her actions do her talking. Baszler and Asuka then got face to face, and Asuka let her know that she was no MVP either. I mean VIP. Baszler and Asuka then turned their attention to Nia. They each kicked her, and she fell back, breaking the IKEA table. MVP got in between Asuka and Baszler, so they wouldn't fight, and Asuka danced instead. Shayna looked at her like, we're trying to be serious here and you're goofy dancing? Yeah, okay, whatever. So that was okay. I mean, it gets over these 3 women in Money in the Bank coming up this Sunday. They're representing Raw. Cool. So next up, Tom Phillips, Byron Saxton, and Samoa Joe introduced us to the show. Phillips said that there would be a gauntlet match to determine Apollo Crews' replacement for Money in the Bank. And that gauntlet match starts here very soon. They also stated that Becky Lynch will return next week to confront the women's Money in the Bank ladder match winner, which basically, most likely, actually does give away that it's going to be either Nia, Shayna, or Asuka winning Money in the Bank, because they've been hounding that when you win Money in the Bank, you must only cash in on your brand's champion. That Shayna can only cash in on Becky. That Rey Mysterio can only cash in on Drew McIntyre. That Otis can only cash in on Braun Strowman. That Lacey Evans can only cash in on Bayley and so forth. So with that, makes us believe that it is a Raw woman winning Money in the Bank. And it's not a SmackDown woman because a SmackDown woman can't come to Raw with the Money in the Bank briefcase. Tom Phillips, Byron, and Samoa Joe. Oh, wait, no, I read the same paragraph twice. So then we got the Gauntlet match. It opens up with Bobby Lashley and Titus O'Neil. Match goes about 50 seconds, not even a full minute. Lashley went quick with the spear. Tozawa then comes out next, and I'm hating this shit. Because Tozawa is supposed to be considered a threat in the Cruiserweight Championship tournament on NXT, but then he comes to Raw and gets killed. It's kind of like the opposite of Shane Thorne. Shane Thorne is supposed to be a tag team threat with Brandon Vink. I think it's Brandon Vink. Yeah, Brendan Vink on Raw, but then last week on SmackDown, he just got killed. So I don't know what's going on here. But Akira Tozawa gets beaten about 19 seconds with a spear. Next up, we had Shelton Benjamin coming out. Shelton didn't get killed in under a minute, and the announcers go, I think this is going to take Lashley a little longer than the other two. And it only went about a minute and a half, minute 45 seconds. Benjamin hit a blockbuster and slammed Lashley onto the apron. Lashley then drove Benjamin to the barricade. Benjamin leaped over a spear attempt and hit an enziguri, but Lashley came right back, no-sold all of it. Spear, pin, Benjamin, you gone. Next up, we then got Humberto Carrillo coming out. Humberto Carrillo, I guess you could say, gave Lashley a good fight. The match started during the commercial break, and they did tell us that we don't know how many men are in this Gauntlet match. Guys are just going to keep coming out until there's no more. Lashley was in control after the break until Carrillo came back with a diving dropkick and a standing moonsault for a 2. Lashley suplexed Carrillo across the ring and worked him over in the corner. The referee tried backing Lashley out of the corner. He resisted until the ref managed to get him off. The ref then yelled at Lashley and basically said, "Don't touch me. I'm the referee. And because you touched me, I'm disqualifying you." Whatever. Just like that, Lashley's gone. The ref informed the ring announcer that Lashley had been disqualified. Lashley got pissed off, kills Humberto Carrillo. 3 more refs come down to pull Lashley out of there. I didn't really like this. If you really wanted, it's like, why do you want to protect Lashley? What are you really going to do with Lashley? They ain't doing jack shit with Lashley, so I don't see why you need to protect him. You can have him look very strong against Carrillo, and just have Carrillo catch him on a roll-up, or Carrillo catch him off of a dive or something. Like, Lashley goes for the Dominator. Carrillo slips out of it into like an edge-o-matic type move, pulls him down, hooks the legs, and then there you go. Catches him. I didn't like the whole, he's disqualified because he touched the ref. Well, didn't the ref get in between him and Carrillo to start with? The ref put himself in that compromised position. Next up, we got Angel Garza with Zelina Vega. As Garza worked over Carrillo, they cut to a quick break. Actually, they cut to backstage first, where they showed Lana sincerely trying to reason with Lashley and suggested that she may have been able to help if she was actually out there at ringside. Lashley blew her off. Garza basically dominated Humberto Carrillo until Carrillo countered a wing clipper into a roll-up for a pinfall victory. Exactly how I think they should have done it with Lashley. But I digress. Carrillo advances, and out would come Austin Theory, another one of Zelina Vega's stooges, or whatever you want to call them. Theory was in complete control and hit a superplex, but upon landing, Carrillo rolled it through, applied a small package, 1, 2, 3, boom. Carrillo advances again. Why couldn't they have done this goddamn thing with Lashley? He gets caught. You don't have to do the stupid DQ. But then out next, AJ Styles is back from being buried alive by The Undertaker in the Boneyard match. Tom Phillips repeatedly said that Styles is back for the first time since he was buried alive by The Undertaker, and said that it was like a complete normal occurrence. He just said it like, well, AJ Styles is back after, or no, he said it like, well, AJ Styles is back for the first time since being buried alive by The Undertaker at WrestleMania. Like it was nothing. Like, oh, everybody just comes back after being buried alive. Cool. Samoa Joe said that he's been trying to get rid of Styles for years, but he just keeps coming back. I love that line by Joe. Styles' first match since WrestleMania here started during a break. He seemed to be in control, but Carrillo quickly came back with strikes. Styles fought back with a knee to the midsection. Styles used a dragon screw and continued to target the leg. Carrillo countered another dragon screw into a DDT and followed it up with an enziguri. Carrillo countered a potential reverse DDT into a small package, but only got a near fall off of it. They then hit each other with clotheslines. Then Styles nailed a pump handle gutbuster. Styles then applied the calf crusher, but Carrillo tapped out. Styles advances and is now in Money in the Bank. Remember, Money in the Bank was filmed like 3-4 weeks ago. So after the match, AJ cut a pretty good promo. He grabbed the mic and said, "I'm not a zombie. I'm not a ghost." He then said that there was no Undertaker to stop him now. Undertaker is not here to ruin his opportunity this time. Styles said that he was buried alive, but so what? He said there were no rules in a boneyard match, so technically he didn't lose or anything. He said, "I didn't lose the thing. I'm here, and I'm going to win Money in the Bank." He said, "I will do anything to get that Money in the Bank briefcase, even if that means throwing a Rey Mysterio or an Aleister Black off the top of the building. I will." Styles said that he would win the contract, and Mr. Money in the Bank would be phenomenal. I like this. This is the first time we've seen AJ in an actual match in a ring since Elimination Chamber. Then we go into the second hour. They're counting down the top 10 moments of Money in the Bank history, and I'm kind of mind blown by some of the moments that they fucking chose here. Number 10 was Styles giving Kevin Owens an AA onto a ladder in 2017. Number 9 was Ember Moon giving Sasha Banks a springboard crossbody onto a ladder in 2018. Number 8 was Randy Orton cashing in Money in the Bank on Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam 2018. Okay, that one fine. Then we go to Backstage. So they did these in chunks, basically. Charlie Caruso interviewed Seth Rollins. Rollins told Caruso that he held faith in his disciple Murphy, and tonight Murphy would defeat Drew McIntyre in this upcoming match. Rollins said McIntyre was not a leader, and it was not his destiny to be the champion who takes us into the future. It was himself, Rollins. Rollins said being a leader was more than what he did in the ring, and McIntyre was not ready for that, for the agony and the despair that came with being a champion. Rollins wasn't trying to take his dream away or anything. He was trying to unburden McIntyre. He said that he wants to save McIntyre. Rollins said that he would win the title at Money in the Bank. So MVP hyped up Shane Thorne and Brendan Vink backstage. Vink made sure to point out that, well, he's 6'5". They then randomly announced next week Edge and Randy Orton. And I believe it's a match. I tried to get clarification on that, and from one source they said it was a match. The other source said that they weren't sure. They just said next week the hunter becomes the hunted. Edge, Randy Orton, Monday Night Raw. And I'm like, okay, so is that a match? Are they just both on the show? So I believe it's a match, but we'll see. As of right now, I'm going with a match, which maybe they want to redeem themselves from the last man standing match of Money in the Bank not being that great. So backstage, Charlie Caruso asked Murphy why he's so loyal to Seth Rollins. Murphy said Rollins took him under his wing when they each needed each other. Murphy hoped to be on Rollins' level one day. Maybe one day he'll be even better. He said they both know that day is coming. Murphy wanted to focus on tonight, though. He wants revenge for McIntyre trying to break his jaw last week. Murphy said Rollins thinks he can beat McIntyre, but Murphy knows he can beat him instead. So then we got Cedric Alexander and Ricochet against Shane Thorne and Brendan Vink in a 4.5-minute match. I was shocked that Shane Thorne and Brendan Vink actually won here. Ricochet and Alexander seemed to be all but victorious in this match. They dominated a lot of this match. But Thorne took out Alexander with a cannonball in the corner. Ricochet super kicked Thorne. Then Vink gave Ricochet a big boot for the victory. Vink pinned Ricochet. Just think about that. Holy crap. We then got moment number 7. Money in the Bank, which was Brock Lesnar winning the contract last year and using the briefcase like a boombox. Number 6 was from the second ever Money in the Bank ladder match where Shelton Benjamin hit his flip dive off of the ladder. 2, okay, I could see those both being top 10 moments because it was a big shock that Brock won last year. Great move by Shelton Benjamin. But then number 5 was Bayley cashing in on Charlotte last year. Like, what? If you're going to put a woman's moment in this, I would have put Carmella winning because it was the first woman's Money in the Bank ladder match, which, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't even one of the moments. Bayley cashing in last year is the 5th greatest moment in all of Money in the Bank history. Money in the Bank is a 15-year tradition. And Bayley cashing in is one of the top fucking moments? What? And there's some more that I was skeptical about here too, but we got non-title action now. It's the Viking Raiders against the Raw Tag Team Champions, the Street Profits, in a 16-17 minute match. Montez Ford was overutilized while bragging, which allowed Eric to deck him with a shoulder tackle. Ivar took out Angelo Dawkins on the outside. Eric gave Ford a knee strike, and Ivar followed with a splash, but Ford kicked out. Ford and Dawkins attempted to come back, but Eric and Ivar went right back on the attack. Dawkins eventually made a hot tag and attacked Eric with an exploder suplex, corner splash, and a bulldog. Dawkins also drove Ivar into the barricade as they went to the break. After the break, Dawkins held Eric in a chinlock. Ford tagged in and hit a dropkick for a 2. Ivar tagged in and ran wild on both guys. The Raiders were briefly in control until Dawkins gave Eric a gut-wrench suplex. They each tagged in and Ford used a clothesline on Ivar. Dawkins tagged in and they hit a double back suplex for a 2. Ivar responded with a double handspring back elbow. The Raiders set up for a Viking experience, but Dawkins tackled Eric and Ford gave Ivar a DDT. Dawkins gave Ivar a spine buster, and Ford followed this up with a crazy-looking frog splash off the top. Just insane how high this guy goes. But Eric broke up the cover. The Raiders then chucked Ford from the ring, gave Dawkins an impressive-looking Viking experience for the pinfall victory. Yep, champs lost on Raw. So I would assume, let me double-check if this has already been announced, but I would assume that we get this match rematched at Money in the Bank. Let's see if WWE has announced anything. I haven't seen anything since Raw went off the air, but not yet. Nothing has been announced, but I would expect the announcement for Money in the Bank with the Raw Tag Team titles on the line. Charlie Caruso interviewed McIntyre and informed him of what Murphy had said earlier. McIntyre accidentally called him buddy, but then covered it up pretty nicely when he was like, well, you know what, Murphy, buddy, whatever, you don't even know who you are. You're a confused man. And I'm like, oh, good cover up there, bud. He said if Murphy wanted to be sacrificed for his Messiah, and if the Messiah wanted his disciple to be sacrificed, he won't deny the people a slaughter. We then got the 4th greatest moment in Money in the Bank history. This was from last year. Cool moment. I wouldn't put it at 4th. It was Andrade doing a sunset flip over the ladder onto Finn Balor, onto another ladder. Woo. Crazy. Finn Balor just flopped off the ladder. Number 3, which I would have put at number 2, was Edge cashing in Money in the Bank for the first time on John Cena. Number 2, which I would put maybe in the top 5 because it's a cool moment. I wouldn't put it at number 2, was Jeff Hardy diving off of a ladder from inside the ring to outside the ring and crashing through Edge at Mania 27, I want to say. Not 27, 2007, 23. So Eric and Ivar told Caruso that this wasn't success. This was dominance. Ivar said they like and respect the Street Profits, but they were simply better. Eric said they distinguished the smoke. So Austin Black cut a promo on AJ Styles. He wanted to know what it was like being buried 6 feet down, crawling out, and being swallowed by darkness. The experience clearly didn't humble AJ Styles because he threatened to throw Black off of a building. Black said, if you do so, you better make sure that I don't get back up. Black said that he would get that contract, and Styles would wish that he was buried even deeper than 6 feet. Rey Mysterio then cut a promo. I like these no interviewer, no whatever promos in the back. Just looking at the camera. There you go. They need to keep doing more of these. Rey Mysterio cut a promo backstage. He said that he's been wrestling long enough to know what to expect in any match, except for this coming Sunday. He acknowledged the 6 men and the 6 women will be fighting at the same time, trying to reach the briefcase on the roof of the headquarters. Mysterio called it the riskiest match of his career. He said that he knew that he was closer to the end of his career and said that he was willing to risk it all for the reward. Chris McNutt with the super chat donation. Sorry, the way it's written. Let me pull it up bigger here. Is Leo Rush, you wrote EO Rush, that's where I was confused. Leo Rush to retire, he may not. I got a whole thing coming out about this. Leo Rush sent out a tweet earlier today. Follow the channel. I'll have a news story up on it later tonight. Charlotte Flair came out and cut a promo. Charlotte called herself the hardest working woman in any industry because, well, she works 2 days a week. When most women work 5, if not more. In other industries, that line was just kind of like, it went in someone's ear and right out the other. Like, what the fuck? What about WNBA females that play multiple games a week? More than 2. What about, oh no, I was going to say, yeah, what about professional soccer players when they do a tournament and they do like 3-4 games in a day and then do another day 3-4 games? They do like a weekend, 3-day, 4-day thing. When she does 1 match in a day, and sometimes doesn't even have a match. Just comes out, talks, and walks off. So, yeah, that line really just died when it came right out of her mouth. Made herself look like an idiot. Charlotte talked about Io Shirai winning a brutal ladder match to earn a dream match against her. Charlotte wanted to give her the privilege of bowing down to the Queen. Liv Morgan would then come out and interrupt. Liv Morgan said, "Hey, Queenie, you remember me? Remember me, Queen?" And Charlotte seemed confused, but figured Morgan wanted her to take her seriously. Morgan didn't care if she took her serious or not, and said Charlotte grew up with a silver spoon in her mouth. It was like, ugh, mess up. Morgan didn't grow up with a daddy to walk her to school, let alone to the front of the line for her career choice. Morgan wanted to be a champion and was ready to knock down backstabbers and a self-entitled queen if she had to. Charlotte said, Morgan doesn't even know who she is. Charlotte knew who she herself was. She was the daughter of Ric Flair, and she was indeed born with a silver spoon in her mouth. Charlotte said, people like Shirai and Morgan wanted to measure themselves up to her. Morgan then told Queenie that she'd get a referee out here and see what happens. So we get a Jinder Mahal video package before commercial break. But then we get a almost 12-minute match between these two. And soon as Liv Morgan came out, I go, uh-oh, well, there goes any semblance of a push that they were giving Liv Morgan. Her ass is getting squashed right now. And she didn't get squashed, but she got pretty much handled by Charlotte Flair. Charlotte was in control until Morgan came back in a front dropkick and a leg scissor takedown, but Charlotte knocked her down with a clothesline. Morgan used a diving leg drop, but Charlotte tossed her into the buckle and stomped away at her. Every time Liv would get one move, Charlotte would dominate her. Charlotte would knock her ass down. They went for a break 3 minutes into the match, which started right after a break. Like, wow. Charlotte was in control during that break, but Morgan came back with running clotheslines, facebuster, kick to the head, double foot stomp for a 2. Charlotte blocked a cover and stomp. Morgan smiled as Charlotte shoved her face. Then Morgan gave her a code breaker off the ropes. Charlotte blocked a leg scissor takedown and hit a sit-out powerbomb for a near fall. Charlotte countered another dropkick attempt into a Boston Crab, and Morgan made it to the ropes rather quickly. With Charlotte sitting on the top rope, Morgan brought her down with another code breaker for a near fall. Morgan tried the Oblivion flatliner finish, but Charlotte blocked it and applied the figure 8. Liv Morgan tapped out. Pretty good match. I'd like the way they let Liv kind of shine, but not really shine. I felt like she could have got a lot more. Then we got Money in the Bank. Okay. I need to compose myself before I talk about this. So they gave us they showed us all these great moments of Money in the Bank. Some great, some not. And we get to number 1. And of course, they got the right number 1 here. It is Seth Rollins cashing in at Money in the Bank. At WrestleMania 31, cashing in his Money in the Bank briefcase. But if you have never seen that match, seen that cash-in, you would all but assume based off of this one video package that he just only singularly cashed in on Brock Lesnar because, well, they cut out any little shot of Roman Reigns. They showed Seth Rollins running down with the briefcase. They showed Seth Rollins stomping Brock Lesnar. Then it fades to black and you hear a 1, 2, 3. It then fades back in and Seth's got the belt at the top of the ramp. Yeah, they cut Roman Reigns out of history. Are you kidding me? Mind blown. When we hear the rumors of, oh yeah, Roman's got heat for not wanting to be at the tapings. Well, there you go. There's some proof right there. They literally edited Roman Reigns out of history in that video clip there. If you have never seen WrestleMania 31, if you have never seen the Seth Rollins Money in the Bank cash-in, which is the singular greatest Money in the Bank moment of all time, one of the greatest WrestleMania moments of all time, you would think that Brock had finished his match with whoever he wrestled, and then Seth came down to take advantage of a weakened Lesnar. Stomp him. Pin him. There you go. Because if you don't remember how this match went, Seth was about to get an F5 when Brock Lesnar took a spear, dropped Seth Rollins before Roman can get to his feet, got hit with a stomp, pinned, boom. That is how Seth won the belt. Pinning Roman Reigns. But what? We don't get to see that. We're not supposed to remember that. We're supposed to think that he pinned Brock Lesnar on a black screen or whatever. I don't know, but it's just ridiculous that they literally cut Roman Reigns out of this segment. Roman was removed from history. I'm baffled, mind blown, shocked. So let me go to our main event. Our main event was WWE Champion Drew McIntyre against Seth Rollins in a non-title match. And against Murphy in a non-title match. I digress. Rollins watched from the stage, from the ramp, whatever you want to call it. He could barely watch as McIntyre destroyed his buddy. Murphy managed to shove McIntyre into the barricade and ring post, hitting a flying double knee strike. McIntyre kicked out quickly and followed with chops. Murphy came back with strikes until McIntyre headbutted him. Murphy went to the top and McIntyre knocked him off, sending him into the barricade. McIntyre clubbed Murphy and did a kip up. Murphy tied up McIntyre in the buckle, super kicked him, and hit a powerbomb for a 1. Champ kicks out a 1. Murphy set up in the corner and tried to do his own Claymore countdown, but then was immediately killed by a Claymore by McIntyre. McIntyre pins him. 1, 2, 3. Cool finish here where it's like, all right, the champ is down. I'm going to hit him with his own move. Fuck, I just got hit with his move. I'm done. I like that. I thought that was a really, really creative finish there. Rollins then got up on the apron, and McIntyre said, come on, Seth. Let's do this right now. I'll get down on my knees if you want to fight me right now. And Seth just got off the apron and backed off. Cameras then cut right in on Drew McIntyre, who was still yelling at Seth Rollins. But then Seth Rollins, the Messiah, can now teleport because all of a sudden he's in the ring on... So, say I'm McIntyre, if you didn't quite catch this. And I'm looking at Seth Rollins, right? I'm looking at Seth Rollins. Hey, Seth, if you want to fight, let's fight right now. And I turn around. Look at the hard camera. Ooh, super kick. Where the fuck did Seth come from? Seth, it's not like Seth ran up the ramp, around the announce table, all the way through, and then back into... No. It was all within like a 10-second, maybe 15-second little deal. That hard cut, where all of a sudden, Seth's on the ramp, backing up, not even going quickly. And then he's in the ring. Beam me up, Scotty. Beam me up. Teleport me into the fucking ring. Anyways. So he super kicks McIntyre. He attempts a curb stomp. Doesn't get the curb stomp. McIntyre then gets to his feet and headbutts Seth Rollins. McIntyre went for a Claymore kick, but Rollins bailed, and that is how Raw went off the air. I thought the show was pretty good. Wouldn't call it great. Seen better. With that, we do have a couple text messages here I do want to read. Okay. This person here says, personally, I think AJ should win. Give him something to do as a first program without the OC, and can slip back Brian in IC and U.S. title feuds. What? Oh, Black and Brian in IC and U.S. title feuds. I think AJ should win it, especially if he's going to continue to be a heel. This person here says, since WWE will probably be filming the Money in the Bank match like the Boneyard match, how entertaining do you think it will be? Well, the match has already been filmed. The match was filmed before we did any of the qualifying matches. Also, this person says, how many cameos do you think we'll see in the corporate Money in the Bank match? I don't know. That's tough to say. This person says, when are the Iconics coming back to the ring? No clue. And this person says, do you think Roman Reigns leaves WWE since WWE block everything involved Roman? No. I think we just play it by ear and see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen with the Roman Reigns situation, but hey, we'll see. But with that, I want to say thank you guys for joining me here tonight to talk about Monday Night Raw. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Pro Wrestling ULTD. Follow us on Instagram, just search Pro Wrestling Unlimited. Follow us on Twitter at PW Unlimited. And remember, you can follow me basically everywhere at Timmy Buddy, twitter.com/Timmy Buddy, twitch.tv/Timmy Buddy. So with that, have a great night, guys, and we'll see you next time.